Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam.
Walaikum Assalam.
Walaikum Assalam.
So today we're beginning our first bootcamp session, the 2020 bootcamp by Panacloud. Today we have four of our team members here. We have Mr. Zia Khan, we have Mr. Zishan Hanif, we have Ms. Hira Khan, we have me, Abdul Altaf, and our fifth team member, Daniel Nagori, is not present today, but hopefully he'll be with us in the next session. So let's begin the bootcamp. Zia Saab, would you like to start?
Well, let me discuss it. Let's get started. What is the objective of this bootcamp? Right now, all of us know that what is the corona situation, and also most of us are aware that the financial problems that we are going to face and we are already facing. So what we want to do is basically prepare students and professionals to be able to earn internationally by developing end-to-end applications for the cloud. As all of you know that in the cloud, the demand after the COVID-19 thing happened, the demand for cloud services have increased. And we have also noticed because me and my team members also work for international clients that the demand has not decreased. So therefore, before I get started, I'll like to ask Zishan that how much, I'll give you example. For example, I'm able to do these services free of cost because I make all of my money internationally. Usually I'm making $5,000 to $10,000 with minimum amount of work because I'm a bit senior. So therefore I have to work less and I have other engagements as well. But if I wanted to, I can easily make $20,000, $25,000, $30,000 a month. Now I'll move over to, but is it true for, because I've got 4 master's degrees, I'm just introduced myself. My name is Zia Khan. I'm the CEO of Panacloud and LLC, which is incorporated in America. And basically we do work for international clients. But our main passion is to make developers of underprivileged kids, of people who are making less than their potential. So therefore our main objective is to make people. Panacloud is of course about developing software, but therefore we are going to launch our international brand 4IRU in the future. This is just the beginning of that. We are going to have this bootcamp requires you to have background in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. We do not cover these 3 technologies. Once we have these, you have these 3 knowledge base that you know HTML, you know CSS, and you know JavaScript. You don't have to be a world-class expert, but you have to be familiar with them to basically follow along this bootcamp. So therefore, the English part is going to be conducted every Saturday at 10 to 11:15 p.m., about 75 minutes. And on Tuesdays from 10 to 10 p.m. Pakistan time to 11:15 p.m. The Urdu sections of the same thing are going to be broadcast on different channels, but that will be the same timing on Sundays and Wednesdays. So Zishan, please first introduce yourself before we get started, and let's all of us introduce ourselves. People get comfortable. We are going to be talking to each other twice a week for the next 3 or 4 months. So we should get to know each other. Let's start with Zishan. Why don't you introduce yourself and then Adil and Hira.
Okay, so as Sazia mentioned, my name is Zishan Hanif. I have started my career in around 2001 with the Java, the program led by Sazia Khan named Operation Badr, and I started learning Java over there. It took me around more than 8 to 10 months to grasp what the programming is and why we are doing software development. And then it started off and I started learning putting more time. The one thing which we always discuss, that you need to put a lot of time in programming and development to practice. So that was the starting point of my career, and then I started putting too much time and started working on the projects and uh, practice projects, and then I did certifications in Java, J2EE, UML, XML, VB.NET, HTML, and multiple certifications I have done during my career. Then I started my practical, real life company experience with the company called it was THK Solutions, and it's around 13 to 14 years. More than that, I've been working in software development industry, and recently I'm heading PanaCloud team as a CTO and working on a different customers. Currently, we are working on multiple customers with international customers in US, Canada, Australia. Different. We have a multiple customers in different regions.
Yes. Adil, why don't you introduce yourself?
Your voice is off. Your mic is off.
Here we go. Now you can hear me.
Yes.
Hello everyone. My name is Adil Altaf. I'm a member of PanaCloud, and right now I am working as a continuous innovation and DevOps lead. My background started back when I was quite young. Um, I didn't get into computer sciences through normal academic procedure. I took it as a hobby when I was younger. Around 14, I started doing my first contract with some federal US government contracts and some private sector companies as well. I started out with systems integration. So my background is with data architectures and systems integration in my early career. And I was working with Accenture for the most part of my early career. And about 5 years ago, I left from Accenture and I started a small startup company, and I was doing services in the Northern Virginia and Washington D.C. area. And then after that, I did a education startup in Pakistan when I started getting into uh, the new kind of stack technologies that we'll be discussing in this bootcamp. And that's kind of the background where I'm coming from, bringing a lot of experience from the services industry in the United States.
Yes, Adil. Thank you so much. It is very critical that not just women in underdeveloped countries, but also developing countries and underdeveloped countries. There's even in America, there's a gender gap for programmers. We don't see more than 10% software developers, even in America, 10 or 20%. That's the range. In Pakistan, women represent about 5 to 10% of the software developers. We are very lucky to have Ms. Hira Khan. Why don't you go ahead and, Hira, introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Hira Khan. I'm co-founder and chief operating officer PanaCloud Private Limited, which has been working in the technology, education, and services industry for the past 8 years. And over the past 20 years, our team has collectively trained over 100,000 students, about 15,000 of which I'm personally responsible for. And I'm an application developer with focus on JavaScript technologies, including React. So
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. Hira, the problem is, I think either you or somebody else is also watching the same thing on a different browser tab. Please shut it down, because what it does is basically creates an echo. So you have to,
let me check.
not just you, but everybody has to basically close their other windows, because otherwise there are two echoes coming. Okay, let's get started. I didn't introduce myself. my basically, as I said, I have more than 15, 20 years of 20, 25 years of, so I don't even remember now. I graduated from Arizona State University, ASU, in 1992 with a triple master's, MBA, MS in engineering, and a master of accountancy in MIS. And I'm also a CPA and CMA in USA. Then I came back to Pakistan in '99 with the objective of basically developing a program for underdeveloped countries, and of course the developed countries as well, so that people who are not able to benefit from this IT revolution, they can also participate in it. Therefore, let's get started. What we are going to do is start building an application. Zishan, Adil, Hira, are you guys ready?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Now what we are going to do is, let's start with Zishan. Zishan, why don't you go ahead and share your screen and do screen sharing, and of course, whatever you do, please keep on explaining to people. I will also start jumping in because this is our first interactive class of coding. So therefore, we might get to find out it takes time to find out the best practices. So the quality will improve as we go on, as we learn. So Zishan, please share your screen. And our first objective is, before we start coding, we want to create a GitHub repository. Now, Hira, before, in the meanwhile, when Zishan basically shares the screen, please explain to all of us, what is GitHub?
Well, GitHub is a code versioning system used by teams for collaborating on software projects. So using GitHub, we can keep a centralized repository of code to be used by all team members. It also provides a code versioning capability by tracking changes made by individuals and maintaining a history of the project. So using the history and tracked changes, we can identify which team member made what changes. For example, if we have a team of 2 people working on the same project, how will they share the source code with each other? Will they zip the code and email? Or what if it's not just 2 people on the team? Will we send an email to everyone every time there is a change? And will one of them make changes and send to the other while the other person waits? These are all questions. So will both of them make changes to different code on different computers at the same time? How will they merge their code? And if we take it a step further and talk about GitOps, how will they distribute the source code to customers who use their application? So to answer all these questions and make life easier for software development team, GitHub actually provides us the ability to maintain a central repository of code accessible by all team members as well as customers. So open source projects also use GitHub to showcase their work to anybody who can benefit from existing code. For example, I have a GitHub repository for students who wish to learn HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, where they can access my code and assignments to learn front-end development. And
thank you so much, Zishan. Let's get started. The first question I have for you before we get started, we are trying to, because the learning process, what I've learned in the last 20-25 years is the learning process has to be in baby steps. If you try to learn too many things at the same time, you will not be able to understand anything. At this juncture, this is our first class. What we are going to do is basically trying to develop a simple HTML page. Simple HTML page. This page, why does it require a GitHub repository, Zishan?
Basically, if you are creating a simple HTML page and you are using it for yourself, you actually don't need a GitHub or GitHub repository. But eventually, in a matter of days, you will be adding multiple changes to that file. So you need to keep track what changes you have done at what days. So that's why you need a repository, you need a versioning system, as Hira explained. That with version control system, what we can do is we can track changes and we can see the history, what changes done by whom. So if even I'm doing work alone, I'm working on my project as a myself and nobody else is working, even then I need to track what changes I have done in the past, so that I can understand if there is some problem with my project if I made some changes today and my project start crashing or it is not working, so I need to go back to the changes. So I can easily identify with the version control system, and GitHub provide us these facilities to maintain and manage that.
So therefore, in order to become a member of GitHub, to sign up for GitHub, does it require any money? Is it?
No, to sign up, there's no cost for the sign up. You just sign up and your GitHub account will be created. Just need to sign up, email and password.
Therefore, we will request all our friends who are following us to please do these things what we are doing in the class. That is the main benefit. On your computer, you just follow along, not just hear us, because the main thing is muscle memory. If you don't do it, you won't remember it. So Zishan, where do they sign up for GitHub?
Basically, let me sign out from my account so I can show you. You go to the github.com, and on the github.com page, directly you can see the page. You provide your username, just like we create for the Facebook or other social media account. I don't hear you, sir.
I'm not saying anything.
Okay. Basically, so on a github.com page, we have a sign up. We provide username, email, and password, and create. Because I already have my account, so I don't need to create it. And I'll go to the sign in page. I'll provide my user ID and my password, which you will not able to see. So here I am in my account. It's github.com, and I just logged into my account. This is because I have many repositories and many years of work, so you can see the screen differently. A user which is new on the GitHub will see a different screen. There will be less activity. I have multiple activities. Now, if I need to create a repository, I have two options. There is a button, new, or plus a new repository. Both of them will do the same. I'll create new repository. Here it will ask me what will be the name of the repository, and it should be the unique one. So I'll create by the name Bootcamp 2020, and I'll provide I just created it. I just provided the repository name under my account. The description, I need to keep it public. So at this moment, I just need to keep it public so that everyone can access. You can also create a private, but it is a paid account. Skip this. Initialize the repository with README. Always do this so that your repository have a basic README file. Add a get ignore none. All these options will be the same. So name, description, public, initialize repository, and then I'll click the create repository. So it is created my repository. You can see the new interface. It is for the my repository. You have multiple tabs. We'll discuss them later on once we reach the point. This is the basic repository on the GitHub. GitHub created a Git repository, and now I can use it to first, because I need to add some changes, so I need to clone it. Should I continue, or we need
Of course.
to?
Yeah, Zishan, go ahead and continue.
Okay. So basically, this is a Git repository, and it is resides on GitHub.com. To make changes, to add files into it, you need to clone it. You need a copy of it on your machine, but the copy does not require to download it. You don't download it. You just copy the URL and use GitHub system, Git versioning system, Git UI on your local machine to clone that repository. You have multiple options. A terminal option, you can go to the terminal and clone that repository, or an UI option, as we have, as Sajja has mentioned in initial repository, that we will be using GitHub Desktop. So here is the GitHub Desktop I have. What I'll do is I'll create a file and I'll click on clone repository, not new repository. If I'll
Zishan,
yes,
we are not able to see the other window. We are just seeing this.
I share my full screen. Let me check again. When I did with the full screen share. I'm sharing my entire screen. You are not able to see my GitHub Desktop screen?
Now we can.
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay. So what I did is I created the repository, go to the green button and click on the copy, go to the GitHub Desktop. In the file menu, we have a new repository, add local repository, or clone.
Zishan, what is this file menu? What is this software you are using?
It's a GitHub Desktop. It's a Git. It's a UI tool to manage Git repositories, as we need to use Git versioning control system. So Git is in a protocol to manage files and version control system. It's in a terminal based tool, Git. So as we need, because we are very fond of UI, and it's easy for us to click over there. So the GitHub Desktop is a UI tool to manage the Git version control system.
So therefore, you have to install GitHub Desktop.
Yeah, to install GitHub Desktop, what you need to do is you just go to desktop.github.com and download. For Windows, you will download the Windows. For Mac, it's separately available, so you can download for the Mac. Just install it, and you will have the GitHub Desktop, and you're gonna start using it.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so what I'll do is I'll use the clone repository option. It will ask me if I want to do with the GitHub sign-in server or directly URL. What I'll do is I'll go for the direct URL, and I'll provide this URL. So this URL is being copied from this repository, http GitHub. I hope you can see it clearly.
Yes, we can.
Okay, so and then what I'll do is it asks for the path where you want to create this repository. So for now, I'll be just creating it in my temporary folder just to manage it. Or let me. Okay, so clone. What it will do is it will clone this repository into my system. Bootcamp 2020. Okay, It just completed the cloning because there was not much of the file, just get ignore file. So as soon as I'll go to my folder uh, where I have cloned it, you can see there is a .git folder. It's in a hidden folder, but I have shown my hidden folders, and there's a README file. That's the basic structure, and because there is nothing in the repository, it's just a simple empty folder.
Okay. Now, why don't you open this in Visual Studio Code? We are going to use that code editor to add code to this repository.
Okay, let me just show where you can download the Visual Studio Code. Just search the code.visualstudio.com. Go to the code.visualstudio.com and download. You have the option for the Windows, Mac, and Linux, all three platform. You can download Visual Studio Code for that. Just install it with the default option, and you can move forward. Once you install the Visual Studio Code, you have multiple options to start to open a repository or a folder in Visual Studio Code. There are multiple options. For the Windows, if I'll right click on it, it show me open with code. So I can start here, open with code, so it will open in the Code Studio. Second option is from the terminal. I'll go to the terminal in the same folder, and I'll type code dot. I'll enter it. It will open the Code Studio in this folder. So whatever option you like it, you can do it. You can do it directly with the Code Studio. So I'm going to do with this option. So it will open Code Studio for me. So you can see there is an empty folder. There is nothing into the file. It is open editors. Here you can see list of files. Whatever files you have, you will be seeing here.
Now, what is this MD file? What the heck is it?
Basically, it's called Markdown File. Whenever you create a repository on GitHub, or you want to document your, you want to explain what your repository is doing, what are the features, or you want to explain the steps you need to clone and run the setup, everything you need to explain about your repository, you can write it into the Markdown file, and it will appear in your GitHub repository. Let's see. This is what it shows: Bootcamp 2020 basic website bootcamp practice. This is the README file, and this is here it is. Whatever changes I'll do here, it will represent here, and I can add my build step, installation step, how user can use this repository, and how user can achieve what this repository is intended to. So you can explain all these things in README file.
Perfect. Now let's create a HTML file.
Okay, so what I'll do is we have in book. Let me just zoom it. It just hang just a moment. Okay. What we can do is in the option which shows your file name, folder name, Bootcamp 2020. You click on it, and there are multiple options. One is new file, one is new folder. So what I'll do is I'll create a new file and name it as index.html. It will create a basic HTML file, and then you need to add basic HTML into it. There are multiple options. If you are using Visual Studio Code, you just use the exclamatory mark with the shift. It will give you two options. You hit it, and it will create the basic structure of HTML.
Could you repeat that again? I didn't get it.
What you'll do in HTML file, press shift and exclamatory mark with the the key on our laptop keyboard. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 buttons, and you press the shift and exclamatory mark. So you will have these two options. I'm using the first one, and I'll press the enter button. As soon as I press the enter button, it will create the basic structure, which you always need: a HTML tag, you will need a head tag, you will need a title, you will need the body. So you will always need to create these basic tags. So you just don't need to need that. Just Visual Studio will do this for you.
Okay. Now, why don't you create a HTML div which basically says "Hello world" from Zishan?
Okay, so I can create a div over here and over from Zishan. I just added that into the file.
Okay. Now, this is a HTML file. Can you see it in the browser?
At this moment, yes, I can. Just go to the right click, open Reveal in Explorer. I'll just right click on the HTML file, open with Chrome, or you can double click on it directly. It will be open in browser on your local machine.
Perfect. Perfect. Now, is this automatically being updated on the cloud, on the
No.
GitHub server?
No, if I go and see my GitHub repository, there'll be no such file because I just created on my system, and it is not being uploaded on the GitHub repository.
What do
Not
you
yet.
need to do? What do you need to do?
What I'll need to do is I'll go to the GitHub desktop. It will show what changes I have done in this repository. At this moment, only index.html. I changed just one file, so it is showing me the index.html and the content, what the content I have did. Let's say if this file was created previously and there were hundreds of lines in this file, and I just made one single change. I'll do one single change, so it will show me what change actually done in this file, which we'll see later on in a moment. So this is the file we have. We can provide what we added, index.html, and we
Oh,
can.
just a second. What are you doing right now?
I'm just trying to commit this file to the GitHub repository.
What is the commit?
Commit. Actually, whenever the Git protocol, what Git protocol do is whenever you create a repository, you need to commit your changes. Committing means you are registering your code change with the Git, so it will start tracking those changes. At this moment, Git doesn't know anything about index.html. My Git or my GitHub does not know, because it is not being committed to the Git. We need to let Git know that this is the file and I need to keep track of it. You just start tracking it. So you just need to add you need to commit it. So let's say you do 100 of changes in your file, but until and unless you commit to the Git, it will not start tracking, or it will not keep versioning of it.
Okay, go ahead and commit it.
Okay. So what I'll do is I'll just skip. And I'll hit the commit. Now this, yes.
Yeah, yes, Zishan. Now, is it showing? Please check the cloud server. Is the change there now? You have committed?
Not yet.
Why?
Because I just committed in the Git, which is on my local system. Once it is in my local system, it start tracking at my local system, but it is not on the GitHub. I need to upload it, which we called a push. So we need to push the changes to the GitHub repository.
Okay, let's push it.
Okay. So once I'm done with the commit, I need to click the push origin. So I'll hit the push origin. It just done with the push. As my desktop GitHub the tool UI I am using, it is already integrated with the GitHub, so it is not asking me the user ID and password. Otherwise, it will ask you the user ID of and password for the repository which we have, your account. My account is Zishan Hanif. It has an user ID and password. So whenever I try to push, if GitHub does not know desktop UI, it will ask for user ID and password. At this moment, it didn't ask me. Now, when I refresh this repository, it shows index.html file. And whatever changes I made are available here.
Now and all our students can see this. Anybody on the web who goes to this URL will be able to see this.
No, they can see the code because my repository is public, but they cannot see it like this way in the browser as a published HTML page. They cannot see as a published HTML page.
But they can see the repository.
How do you make your file public?
We need to publish it. We need to, because whenever we develop an application or website, we need to host that website to a particular server so that public can access it and use it. Just like you go to the gmail.com is available on Gmail server, so you go to a gmail.com and the page appears as gmail.com. So you need to host your website somewhere.
Okay. Now what we Hira, are you going to you ask some questions? Sorry, I interrupted.
No.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Adil?
Yes.
Now what we are going to do is, we are not very happy. We are a jealous kind of people. Why should Zishan say hello world to the world?
Right.
Why should we allow him? Now, Zishan.
Yes.
If you want to allow Adil to change this code,
okay,
how do you do that?
I'll need a user ID of Adil on GitHub, and what I'll do is I'll go to the setting. Adil, please send me your GitHub user ID, and then I'll go to the manage access. Here, what I'll do is because there is no other collaborator, so I'll have to invite a collaborator. You haven't invited. I'll click on it. I'll see. Adil, can you send me your GitHub user ID?
Yes. I just sending you on WhatsApp.
Okay, so it's Adil-innovation.
I think there is a double N.
Okay. Here it is. I'll select that and add Adil Innovation Lab to the bootcamp.
Okay. Now we are going to do is, what we are going to do is ask Adil to share his screen and see what there's a pending invitation. What is happening on his end? Adil, please take us check and please become a member of this repository.
You can see my screen. I haven't received any invitation yet.
You will you will see an email. You will have to accept the invitation or just send me. Let me send you the link. I'm sending you the link. Okay, you got it.
So now
Now,
I have push access to the Shanani site, Bootcamp 2020.
Adil, why don't you first see what are the different members of this repository?
So I have here,
You can see in collaborator.
I have different uh, contributors here. So Zishan is here right now, and where is collaborator? Don't see collaborators here.
As we can see, there are 2 commits to this repository. If you go back to code, there are 2 commits. Can you Adil tap show us it?
Okay.
And both of them was initial committed was Zishan when we created the repository, and basically then he added the HTML page.
Yep.
There are 2 commits to it. Now, Adil, your job is to explain to us how can we change Hello World from Zishan Hanif to Hello World from Adil Altaf.
So I'm running GitHub desktop here. So what I can do is I can clone a repository, and I want to clone this repository. So I'll get the URL, just like Zishan has done, and I'll clone the repository into my GitHub folder under the Bootcamp 2020 folder. So I'll clone this.
So every user, every collaborator need to clone it on his machine.
Yeah. So now I have cloned the Bootcamp 2020 repository here. So I have access to the Shan Git repository here. And now I can open this in my Visual Studio Code. So let me do this. And I can see the code that Zishan had written here. Hello world from Zishan. So one way I can change it is I can change it here. If I need to, what do I need to change it to now? Do this. So now I've updated the index.html file, and it shows here that it's been modified. So if I look into my GitHub desktop, it will show the index.html file has been updated. What it's done is removed line 8 and added a new line here because there's a change here. So it's easier to replace the old line with the new one. And so now I can submit this as well. Maybe found then I can commit this to the master, and then as before, now I have to push it to the origin. So now it's been pushed to the origin, and we should be able to see here. If I refresh this page now and open up the index.html, I'll have the new code there.
Now everything is working. Now Zabardast. You have Adil. You are now the champ. you have destroyed Zishan's code.
Yeah, but I left Zishan in there though, but I crossed him out.
Okay.
He did more than that. He just put a strike on it.
Now the question is, Zishan, coming back to you.
Yes. Sorry?
We want to host this HTML file. We want to host this website on the cloud.
I just want to add one more thing.
Yes, go ahead.
At this moment, I do not have changes made by Adil. So if I need to see those changes, I need to pull all the changes first. Otherwise, I'll not have those changes.
Go ahead and pull it.
Okay, so let me share my screen. I have already shared. Adil, can
Your screen?
show my screen?
Sure. There you go.
Okay, so now on the GitHub desktop, what I can do is I click on the fetch, because before that what I have is hello world from Zishan. I do not have changes from the Adil. I hit the fetch. What fetch do is it brings the changes, but it does not apply the changes. If you will see, I already still have hello world from Zishan. Whenever I do pull, then what it do is it pull the changes and apply also. Okay, so now if I'll go to my repository, it will show the changes done by Adil. So that's how you pull the changes from other developers.
So right now, Zishan, if I understand it correctly, there are 3 copies of the repository. One is in your machine.
Yes.
One is on Adil machine.
Yes.
And one is in the cloud.
Yes.
So there are 3 copies of the same repository.
Yes.
Okay. Now we want to publish it. We want to use a service called Surge. Hira, why don't you go ahead and tell us what is Surge?
Hello?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
To allow users to access a static front-end application, we can use Surge as a hosting platform where users can access our content. So by integrating Surge with GitHub Actions and workflows, we can configure our GitHub repository to automatically deploy our website to free Surge hosting anytime there is a new code push to our GitHub repository. So Surge is a hosting website.
Okay. Exactly. So basically, Surge is basically a hosting platform where we are going to publish our websites free of cost. GitHub is free of cost and Surge is also free of cost. Now, which one of you will want to basically show us how to use Surge? Adil, Zishan?
Adil can do it. I don't mind. I can.
Okay, go ahead, Adil.
I have these. Okay, so are we doing Surge on the through the GitHub workflow?
No, directly.
Directly. You have to install it on your machine and then directly.
Okay, I can do that. So if I On my command line, I have to come to my command line.
There's a difference. Zishan, you are using a Windows machine. Adil, you
Yes.
are using a Mac machine.
Yes.
Yes, I'm running Mac and hands-on Windows.
So therefore, if somebody was using a Linux, does it matter?
No.
The Linux and the Mac would be pretty close to each other. So if somebody's on Linux, they would have the same screen I have. Right?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. So uh, we're trying to work with Surge, and Surge is a tool that runs based on Node.js. So one of the prerequisites to run Surge is to have Node installed. So first of all, you have to install Node. So I already have it installed here, as you can see. But if you do not have Node installed, you need to install it. And to install Node, simply search node.js.org, and you can go to downloads. And I have Mac, so I would get the Mac installer. Somebody's running on Windows, you can get the Windows, and so on. And then you just follow the on-screen instructions to install the Node.js. Once Node.js is installed and working, and you have verified it, you can verify it just by running the node command. You'll have access to Node.js. Once it's installed, our next step is to install Surge. So to install Surge, what we can do is use a uh, command line installation using the Node package manager. And to install it with the command line, I'll use the sudo privileges so I have admin access so I can install it. And then I'll call the node package manager to install. And I'll do it globally so everybody on my machine has access. And I'll install Surge. So this way, if I run this command, it will ask for my password. I'll be able to install Surge on my machine. Right. So I've got it installed here. So here's the stuff. So now that I have Surge running, now I have to create an account on Surge and also to generate a security token so I can use my account to upload files. And that'll
I guess we don't need a token to publish from locally.
right. So I'll just skip that part right now. So let me just uh, deploy the website.
Yes.
So to deploy my website, the code that we have to the web, I'll have to use the search command, and here I'll have to give the location of my code. So I'll have to get the path of this. I can just copy the path of my repository here, and uh, I'll have to give it a URL where I want to upload this. So I can do Bootcamp 2020, and in the syntax of search, it's search.support. You do not have permission.
Basically, the website already exists. You just need to provide another name.
Yeah. The Bootcamp 2020 project. Here we go. So now my code, my website has been published on this URL. So I should be able to copy this and go on my browser and navigate to this address and have my code run. Sorry.
Adil, you are a genius.
Now, even our students can see this.
All our students can go and see that.
So this URL will be running from any machine in the world.
Let's have a clapping for Zishan Hanif and Adil. Both of them just. But Zishan, the problem is, I'm a very lazy guy. And the problem is that whenever, let's change the website a bit.
Okay.
Let's change, now put instead of Adil, you basically put Hira's name in it. That hello world from Hira, and push the code.
Okay, just.
And what I want to do is, I want to basically change the code from what we did was we changed it from Zishan to Adil. Now I want to change it to Hira. But what we want to do is, whenever we make changes and push it to GitHub, it automatically updates search website. Is it possible?
Yeah, it is possible. But we need to integrate the workflows. There are different possibilities for CI/CD. So we need to add those changes. If we are talking about the with Git, so it is GitHub action. There are multiple other options. Jenkins and other options are available that can allow you to what you can do is you can configure any CI/CD where you just push the code on your repository and then
just a second. What is CI/CD?
Basically, it's a continuous integration and continuous deployment. Continuous integration means whenever you made some changes, you just directly need to integrate to all the service so that it can deploy on the server and it can upgrade the servers. So all the changes you made should be available directly to it start testing. Because let's say I have created a web application. I'm making a changes. I have a team of 4 developers. They are also making a changes. Once we are ready that we have done those changes, what we need to do is we need to test those changes and make those changes available to deployment. So we need to do it manually. We need to create pull requests, or we need to do deploy. We need to merge, and then we need to update our server, and then we need to deploy those changes on a particular hosting site so that it's available for the all the users. So what CI/CD do is we configure all these steps in CI/CD with the declarative commands so that it's just available over there. And whenever you just push the changes, what it do is it pick the changes, build your server, build your code, and then deploy those changes to a specified location, whatever you mentioned in your configuration or your CI tool.
Perfect. Why don't you go ahead and do it, and also teach us.
Okay. Just a moment. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So what I'll do is first I'll go to the GitHub, and here we have an option of action. On the GitHub, we have an option of actions. I'll click on it. This is a recently added feature of GitHub, and what it allows you to configure your deployment options. So I'll set up. There are multiple options available. What I'll do is I'll use the setup workflow yourself. I'll click setup workflow myself. Now, what it shows is it will create .github.work/workflow and main.yaml file. You can name it any way you want. So what I'll do is underscore search YAML or YML, both are the same. And what I need to do is, this is the declarative options of my file, of my actions. What I need to do is, so first you need to understand what this file will do. Whatever whenever we develop an application, once we are done with it, we need to push the changes, we need to build the server, we need to build the code, and we need to deploy this. All these commands are need to be done with the terminal, and you need to do it manually. What GitHub Actions will do is, or any CI/CD do is, it do all the manual commands for you automatically. So you need to provide those commands here over here. So if you see, it's just a initial file created by the what you say GitHub Action. You see, it gives you a name. So what I'll do is I'll give it my name. Then what it do is it asks what changes or when you want to execute this action. So whenever I'll push the changes to my master branch, I want these changes to be done whenever I push changes to my master branch. So I'll remove the on pull request. We have not learned yet, so don't worry about it. So what I'm saying is on whenever somebody push changes to which master branch. So if somebody push changes to master branch, then this action need to be triggered, and whatever job we have assigned it, it needs to be work on it. Then what it says is, then it says job, because it executes a job, and it needs what it does it. I'm assuming they are triggering a small VM or a Docker application, or then they are running in a server, small VM application, and in that machine our code start executing. So the job, what it says is build, and it says runs on Ubuntu latest. So what it do is, it will spin off, it will create a small virtual machine on the GitHub server, where our code start building, and then everything will be done on GitHub server. So all the command that we need to execute, which we will be doing on our machine, will be done on GitHub server, and then it will be deployed. Do ask me question whenever need an explanation for the student.
Okay,
Runs on.
okay.
Acha, what is virtual machine? Students usually ask this question. And why do we need it?
Basically, there are two. Let me explain just from the virtual machine perspective. Whenever we are working on a machine, let's say I'm running Windows on my machine, and I need a separate machine, or I need another Windows. I need to work on it, or I need to work on a Ubuntu. So I can do a dual boot, or what I do is, there is a software called Oracle VM, or there are multiple VM machines softwares available, which what it can do is, it create another machine in your system, and it will run completely separate as a separate machine. So what it will create a virtual machine on your machine. It isn't your system, but it has its operating system, it has its memory management, it has its software, and you can start and stop that machine separately from your operating system. It will be working on your operating system. In case of what here we are talking about, the virtual machine is, whatever GitHub is doing is, actually what GitHub is doing, it's creating in a separate Docker instance, or some Linux instance. It's creating a virtual instance in a bigger server. Let's say they have a server with the 100 of gigabytes of memory, 100 of gigabytes of storage. What they can do is, they create a small virtual machine. So every user comes into that machine and run whatever task user want to run, and then those tasks will be executing on the server. So there is a complete explanation separately for the Docker and everything. We'll go over it in later on, I guess. For now, what it do is it will create a separate virtual machine on GitHub server, where and what that virtual machine will have, it will have a Ubuntu it will have a Ubuntu operating system on it, and whatever command we are going to execute, those will be executed on that virtual machine. Okay.
Yes.
Next step is what it says it should be running on the Ubuntu latest. So GitHub will spin off a Ubuntu machine, virtual machine, and steps. First of all, what it's going to do is, because it's a GitHub action, GitHub requires a few commands. So use action/checkout. It will it's an action provided by GitHub. So you need to provide the checkout option, and then you start off your whatever command. GitHub action has its language. So you need to provide name. You need to provide whatever. Let's say you
Vishal,
provide
just
name.
a second. Let me ask Adil. What
Yes.
the hell is actions?
Right. So an action is something that's been it's already been coded and saved. It's kind of like they've containerized a command, and it's reusable. So for example, here, when we start with the steps, the first step there is action/checkout. So here, what we're actually trying to do is, what we want is the code that we've just pushed through the GitHub repository. We want to use that code. So we've here built a new Ubuntu machine here. So this is an isolated machine. It does not have access to our code when we launch it. So firstly, what we want is to give it access to our code. So this action, what it does is, some user has created this for us, and I think this is a GitHub verified action. And what it does is, instead of us having to create a manual GitHub installation and checkout and everything, this gives us like a shorthand to get our code from the repository. So that's what the first one, that's what this action does. And then we have other actions available as well to do different processes. Maybe if you want to install something, you can use the predefined actions that have already been coded, and it'll be easier for us to develop this workflow rather than having to write out the code for checking out code from Git every time or installing some program every time.
Okay, let's get back to Zishan. Zishan, go ahead, and let's say we have now understand what is action/checkout. Basically, it's taking out the code from repository and basically copying the code to this machine. Now, go ahead and
Actually, it's what it do is it wrap the the terminal commands for the checkout in the action. Okay, so now we provide a name run on a online script. It's in just a name so that you can name your step, what you are doing over here, and then run command will do execution on the terminal. So at this moment we do not have basically what we need to do is we need to install and search and deploy our application. So we need to execute our actions over here. So from here on we need to remove this and we'll add our changes over here. So first what we need is because this is separately created OS, it does not have required softwares that require to build or run whatever we want to do. So it's in a separate operating system, so we need Node.js over here. So I'll provide a name it Install Node.js. Now, install Node.js, that means we need to install a Node.js, but for now, it's now, because it's now OS. So we have, they have provided us how to install a Node.js. They have provided us the, what you say, uh, another action, which allows us to install Node.js. So what I'll do is I didn't remember the exactly name, so I'm just copying it. What we'll do is we'll provide the name and then we uses and actions
Setup minus node.
setup slash node @ 2 minus beta.
And I think it's V2.
Sorry?
It's V2 minus beta.
Okay, it's V2. So you just told me to remember this. You will have this available. So what we need to do is basically we need Node.js on this newly created virtual machine. Why? Because we need to install search, as Adil mentioned previously. Adil did on his machine. So Adil did npm install ---- globally search. So Adil installed that search on his machine and then started the search. Same thing, same steps needs to be done on the GitHub machine. And why we are doing is so that we just push the code and everything will be done automatically. We don't need to go on my machine and just start typing those commands every time. So we are automating these steps. That's why what we need to do is it will create a virtual machine with the Ubuntu, and then we need to first install Node.js over it. Once it is done with the installation of Node.js, there is another input option with what we'll do is Node-version. So which version we want to use it, we'll provide it. Well, this is an input. Whenever we need to add input to action, and action requires some inputs, so it is done with the with option. After that, what I'll do is I need to install Surge on this machine. So I'll run the command npm install -t search. So all these steps we have done on our system. Again, this is the same command Adil executed on his machine. Now, what we need to do is once we're done with the Node.js installation, we're done with the Surge installation, what we need to do is we need to deploy our application on Surge platform. So as we have seen previously, always name your steps so that you know what we are going to do. So run. Now, this will be the same command Adil executed previously on his machine. Search. And now we need to provide the folder where the code exists. In our case, let me just show it again. This is current repository. In our case, it is mentioning the current repository. So what we will do is what we'll mention // So it shows the current repository, current folder. So you need to deploy the current folder. Where you need to deploy it, whatever the name you will give it. So I'll say bootcamp new app.search.sh. Now the problems comes in. The problem is whenever Adil runs this or I run this command on my machine, what Search do is Search try to log in, because Search is a service and it requires user authentication. From this GitHub action, it does not have any authentication because it is running on a completely different machine, on a Ubuntu machine. So we need to provide authentication to Search. In our case, resides in our system, so it asks for the user ID and password first time, and after that it does not require anything because it's hold the token on our system. Now what we need to do is we need to go to our system and find out what token Search provides us. So what I'll do is I'll go to my system in my terminal, wherever you are. You call the search token. It will provide me a token. And this token allows Search to authenticate me as a Zishan and then deploy application based on my behalf. So I'll copy that token. I'll go to the repository and add this token into GitHub secrets. Setting. Secrets. Here you need to provide key value pair. So what I'll do is I'll provide the value and the key will be whatever I want to name it. This can be any name, so I can use ABC. So don't worry about it. But to keep it relatable and you understand what this key represents, you need to provide exactly what it is. Otherwise, you can give it any name. Search token, and I have provided my token. Add secret. Now this token is available on my GitHub repository. I will go to my action, and now what I'll do is token dollar okay. So what dollar and curly bracket do is it is using as a placeholder. So whatever secret.search token has, it will be replaced over here, and whenever it will be executing a command, what it'll do is it will take the token from this and then deploy the action over there. Should I finalize it, or we have any question or something?
Then go ahead.
Okay,
we are running out of time.
Okay, I will start a commit. It is committed, and I'll open it in a separate folder. Search created, and it has an error. Let me see what error it has. Workflow is not valid. Deploy YAML. Unrecognized name value secret.
I think it's secrets with the S. It should be plural.
Okay. So what I'll do is I'll edit it in the. I'll edit on the fly directly on GitHub. I did the secrets. Commit. You can do direct changes on GitHub, and it gives you the whole the process. Now it's executing the command in the build. You can see it will start running the steps. It's mentioning everything, and what it says, run search. It says ishanhanif@gmail.com. Where did it find it? It done based on token I have provided, and it deployed on the bootcamp search. So this is the same change file. I have it. What I'll do is I'll make a single change. I'll add the name of Hira, and I'll not have to do. I will not have to do any deployment. GitHub action will do directly. So what I'll do is I'll change both the name and I'll make it it's showing me single changes. Commit. Okay, so just and then why it's saying pull. Okay, yes, it's because I have added workflow, so that's why it's saying the pull. So I just need first to pull the changes done on the live on the GitHub repository, and now I'll push my changes. As soon as these changes pushed over here, it will start deploying another action. You can see there is another. I just pushed the changes. It will start running the action. Deployment is done. What I'll do is I just go and refresh the page, and it's updated. So we don't need to do the deployment. We just push the changes, and it's updated on the directly on the repo, on the hosting server.
Ishan, you have done a marvelous job. Now let's see. Just Adil, could you summarize what just happened?
Sure. So what we have done is we have created a GitHub repository. On that GitHub repository, we have created a basic HTML page. And what we have done is created a workflow with GitHub Actions. And what it does is we use a hosting service called Surge that hosts static front-end websites to deploy our HTML page that we coded earlier.
Adil, sorry, you are focusing on the screen sharing. Please remove that you can.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what we've done is we have used Surge, which is a static hosting service. It's a free hosting service for static web pages something that we've just created earlier. And what we have done is using a GitHub workflow and GitHub Actions, we have created an automatic deployment. So anytime we push new code into our GitHub repository, the workflow triggers on that push. And whenever there is a push, it will automatically take the new code that we've committed to the GitHub repository and deploy it to the Surge on the given URL that we've used. So instead of having to redeploy our changes to the hosting server every time we make a change, all we have to do is commit our code to GitHub, and automatically it will reflect the changes on our hosting server.
Perfect. Now what we are going to do is basically, anybody who watches this video, who wants to be our student in learning this, we are going to learn a lot of different things. We are going to learn React. We are going to learn Gatsby. we are going to learn Node.js, we are going to learn Express, and we are going to learn MongoDB, and a lot of different things we are going to learn. Now, anybody who wants to be our student and our friend, what we are going to do is basically create a massive collection of teachers and software developers, but we want to know who is very interested. Zishan, can you go share your screen and go to the issues section of GitHub? Your issues section. Now, in order to see who is interested and who is documenting, what you are going to do is, the request is, you are going to create an issue on this repository, Zishan's repository. And in this repository, you are going to put, create a new issue. And what you are going to do is, basically, Zishan,
yes,
put the search URL as well as your GitHub repository URL. Here, everybody is going to do that. Is going to complete this assignment.
Search URL
and as well as the GitHub repository. In this case, everybody is already on the site, but for the students, they will give their repository URL.
Okay.
In your case, you just write down Zishan Hanif submits assignment. In the second, you also put your URL of your GitHub repository. And you just submit this new issue. What will happen is all the students will submit this here on Zishan Hanif's repository. And what we will do is we can check it out and we will figure out who is doing it as early as possible, who is the faster worker, who is interested, because we are going to create a huge team which is going to create international apps as well as basically teaching. We will select developers, we will select teachers, and if everybody starts submitting the assignments, then we will find out who did it first, and because all the numbering will be there, and we will find out who is more interested and who is a fast worker, whose work is clean, and so on. In the next Tuesday's class, we'll have the English sections are on Saturday at 10 p.m. and on Tuesday at 10 p.m. And the Urdu section is on Sunday at 10 p.m. and Wednesday at 10 p.m. So therefore, this team of teachers will meet. You will give a next class on Tuesday. And on Tuesday, what is going to happen is we are going to start develop. We are going to exactly do the same thing for a React app. We are going to create a Hello World React app, and we are going to start learning React from next Tuesday at 10 p.m. As all of you know, that ladies should always have the last word. Hira, could you please summarize the class and then let everybody go and have a nice sleep?
Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Looks like Sarah's been disconnected.
Yeah, she is not here.
Okay, no problem.
Maybe
What we'll do is request Adil to summarize the class, and then we'll leave for today.
Sure. So in today's session, the first bootcamp session of our 2020 bootcamp, we have learned how to create a GitHub workflow using GitHub Actions, and we have learned how to use GitHub to continuously deploy our static HTML web pages to a surge hosting domain. So that's what we've done today. The result of it is every time we make a change in our HTML code, The changes are automatically deployed to our hosting service every time we commit and push our code to the GitHub cloud repository.
Thank you so much. Now, what we are going to do is I'm requesting everybody to basically, in the issue section of Zishan's project, basically add your what work you have done, completed the assignment, what we have done in the class, and also join Facebook group 4IRU, 4IRU group. Zishan, can you show that group?
Just a moment.
Everybody will join it, this 4IRU group, and basically we will exchange notes, we will get to know each other, we will become friends, and we will become co-workers, and we bring a revolution, not just in Pakistan, but all over the world. This is actually, Adil, our first day of international targeting.
Yes.
Now what we are doing is basically moving from Pakistan to internationally.
So this is the group slash 4IRUG. Can you see?
Yes, we can see. So therefore, everybody is going to join this group, and we are going to become friends and co-workers as well as faculty members to bring this revolution around the world. Anybody wants to add anything?
No.
No.
Good job, everyone.
Okay. And I will request everybody to stay home and try to avoid social contact as much as possible and stay safe because the thing is spreading like wildfire. And please protect yourself and protect your family and protect your co-workers and your friends. Thank you so very much. We will see you next Tuesday at 10 p.m. Pakistan time. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.